Organized labor suspends nationwide strike. INEC extends voter registration in Edo, Ondo states. We can accomplish more when we go beyond partisan politics, says President Bola Tinubu. Now let's take headlines outside Nigeria. South Africa's ANC holds high-stakes internal talks, weighs up partners to form next government. Zambia asks for IMF loan to be increased to 1.7 billion US dollars. Well, tonight on Politics HQ, organized labor in Nigeria says it is relaxing its nationwide strike for 1 week to allow for the conclusion of negotiations for a new minimum wage. But what does labor mean by a relaxed strike? We'll talk about all this ahead and more. My name is Kofi Bartels. Politics HQ starts now. You're welcome. A strike action relaxed for 1 week to allow for the conclusion of negotiation. Details shortly. That's a tweet on the X account of the Nigeria Labour Congress at 2:09 p.m. And that's all Nigerians had heard at the time from organized labor following its showdown meeting with the federal government last night that culminated in the signing of what is described as an agreement between labor and Nigeria's federal government, with the government making certain commitments regarding the contentious issue of the national minimum wage. Well, it's past 7 p.m. Should I say this is is a few minutes past 7 p.m. 3 actually, and 5 hours on. Nigerians are still waiting for those details. Well, that was the previous script before we came on the air, because hours on, after waiting for that script, the NLC put out a statement, a communique, and we'll look at details of that communique as we go on. Well, Nigerians have been waiting without electricity, which members of labor's affiliate unions had turned off nationwide at 2:19 a.m. on Monday, as revealed by the Transmission Company of Nigeria. Nigerians have been waiting for labor's details without petrol or diesel or even kerosene, which the populace can't get because labor stopped all activities in the petroleum sector. Now, yesterday, News Central reported several aeroplanes set to airlift or sent to airlift Nigerians heading for the pilgrimage in Mecca were forced to return empty to Saudi Arabia due to the strike, meaning hundreds of pilgrims who have spent hundreds of millions of naira, if not billions, to perform the Hajj won't be able to do so. And this is combined with the fact that Eid al-Kabir is some days away, threatening to cause religious disaffection amongst some Nigerians. Indeed, some are asking if the strike will affect their Eid al-Kabir. Now, are the airports open now? Has power been restored now? Do Nigerians now have access to fuel? What are the terms of a relaxed strike? Well, we hear some reports that the airports are open. The gates have been thrown open. As to whether normal service will resume, it's another thing. We also hear that we might start seeing petrol very soon. I don't know about electricity. Last time I checked, there was no light, like we call it. Well, Labour released what they call the joint communique of the national, the Joint National Executive Council NEC meeting of the Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, and the Trade Union Congress, the TUC, about an hour ago. We'll look at that ahead on the program tonight. Let's introduce our guests. Joining us virtually is Adeola Shoiton, his coordinator, Citizenship Civic Awareness Center, also known as Democracy Vanguard. Also joining us virtually is Comrade Bashiru Kadiri, former vice chairman of the Nigeria Labour Congress, and former vice chairman rather, and former secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress in Edo State. He's a retired permanent secretary in the Edo State Public Service. Here in the studio we have Ivan Sofeli. He is a legal practitioner back from the US, from whence you joined us last. It's good to have you, Evans.
Thank you very much.
And to our guests virtually, it's also good to have you as well. Evans, let's start with you. You're the lawyer in the building.
Yes.
I don't know if this has legal ramifications, but what do you understand by relaxed strike?
Well, it's the first we are having that in our lexicon, I mean, in this strike issue. I've never seen it where they say strike is relaxed. We've always had that there's strike and the strike is called off. But I think this one took this dimension, or suspended. I think this took this dimension because the negotiation were partly, some things were agreed on, like the 60,000 naira, the federal government will not go below 60,000 naira. That has been agreed on, but the the particular amount that they will fix the minimum wage have not been stated. And they said, the federal government said it needs time, 1 week within which to do that. So perhaps that is why they call it a relaxed strike. Maybe this is also to further put pressure on the federal government to always remember that it is not over yet. Perhaps that's what I think. But in the interim, I think that what Labour meant is that they will go back to work. That is what I think they meant. They will go back to work pending the time that the federal government have asked for to determine what I would have thought that Labour and the federal government would have done a conclusive issue on what the minimum wage should be. Because when you say the federal government will not go beyond 60,000, at the end of the day, if they come up and say they have agreed on 61,000, that means they are still in the place of above 60,000. Okay, so in my own belief, I think this should be concluded within 1 week, so that we will not have to labor under the belief of a relaxed strike, a strike action, or a suspended strike, or a called off strike.
Relaxed strike. We have Comrade Bashir Kadiri. He's a Labour man, former vice chairman, and also former secretary of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Comrade, are you there? Can you hear us, please? All right, we'll get back to Comrade Bashir Kadiri later. So why relaxing or relaxation of strike and not a suspension? Because what it seems is like a suspension.
Yes.
This relaxation, does it mean that Labour will still be striking in some quarters, and then in some other quarters, I don't understand.
No, I think there's total compliance in this. The Labour and the TUC, they are all in.
NLC and TUC.
Yes, they all have one voice on this, and they have all agreed that maybe it's just semantics. I mean, the relax could also be called suspension for a time being. I mean, both expression is a momentary stay back on the issue. Okay, it's a momentary suspension on the issue, whichever way you look at it. Okay, it's momentary. So to enable the federal government decipher exactly what it should be, by the time they go back and look at because what Labour is even asking for, I mean, is far away from what the federal government is even conceding. The federal government is conceding 60 and above. The Labour is asking for 490, thereabouts.
94?
94, okay, and then there's a far. So I don't know whether they will still come to an agreement.
All right.
Yes, all right. I really don't know, but for now, I think the relax means suspension. That's what I think, except Labour have an alternative or a contrary expression to the effect of what they mean in context by relax, which possibly we are not privy to.
What do you make of the resolutions reached between organized labor and the federal government last night? It's all getting a bit confusing for me. You have the tripartite committee.
Yes.
This is a committee, 37-member committee.
Yes.
Set up by the federal government in obedience to the National Minimum Wage Act.
Yes.
They've been meeting and they've been deliberating. They've not come to an agreement.
Yes.
Labour says we're going on strike. Labour now meets with the leadership of the Senate in a meeting attended by members of the tripartite committee, including OPS and some government representatives. And of course, Senate President and House of Rep Speaker there. They have some agreements. Labour say, okay, we've heard you, but we have to go and talk to our organs to see.
Yes.
The next night, the president calls on his aides, the Secretary to the Governor of the Federation, Chief of Staff and all these guys, Ministers of Information and all, to meet with these representatives of organized labor and other members of that tripartite committee. And they sign an agreement. Why the many meetings?
Well, the many meetings is to determine what the federal government can pay, because the federal government had said that if they concede to the 494, now it will cost the federal government about, is it 9 trillion or 90 trillion? I can't remember. Either 9 trillion or thereabouts per month to have that that offset. Okay, that is on the high side. But the federal government created this for itself, because It was in this administration when they got in that the members of the National Assembly bought cars for themselves of over 100 million each. And they have been, spending money, flamboyantly. And Labour, they're watching these guys, what they are doing. There was a supplementary budget last year wherein they used about either 48,000 or thereabout that they added to Labour, their salary, as a way of palliative for the removal of subsidy.
So the wage award?
Yes, which they did, which was not enough. Now they came back to the real issue of the minimum wage because the cost of living, the federal government was actually the one that went and disrupted the cost of living. It became high and unreachable. They didn't have a plan, a backup plan as to what they will do to cushion the effect of the hardship that is the outcome of that policy.
Absolutely no plan.
No plan. It was thoughtless. So on that thoughtless policy, they fall back to, okay, the president has, okay, they are going to give 12 million Nigerians, social amount of money as palliative. They ended up somersaulted on that one, and then later handed over the money to governors. Gave this money to governors to give palliative. The governors did not share any palliative. I mean, in Delta State and in my village, 8 bags of rice came to my village. Each bag of rice was, yes. Now, each bag of rice had 240 cups. Each family got 3 cups. That was a palliative that the federal government gave that will sustain the people from January or last year to this time. So, I mean, this whole thing is, you cannot lead 200 million people impulsively. It's not possible. You don't just come and say, we even had 1 month to go because there was no budget for it. We had 1 month to go before the president took off the subsidy. I had thought that what he should have done was to look for a way around. If you are taking off subsidy, there must be something very critical, well thought out, that will cushion the effect of that arrangement. But there was nothing. So it became an afterthought. And they started running from pillar to post. They floated the naira at the same time, floated everything at the same time.
Please hold the thought. I want to bring in our other guests now. First of all, I'll start with the comrade Bashir Kadiri, labor unionist. He's the former vice chairman of the Edo State chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress and also former secretary of the NLC. Comrade, good evening to you. Also, we have joining us also virtually Adeola Shoita, coordinator of Citizenship Civic Awareness Center. Gentlemen, good evening to you. Comrade, let's start with you. What does labor mean by relaxed strike? Please help us understand.
Well, first thing, let me commend the labor leaders. At least for the first time, they are not strike shy. At least they were able to prosecute a strike for 24 hours, which to me is good enough from their previous strike shyness. You see, when we talk of minimum wage, you don't just talk in arbitrariness. We have to look at the cost of living indices. And I did something last week, which I posted on social media. The minimum for a family of 4 now is average of 195,000 naira. If they are going to be eating twice a day for 3 months, let everybody or anyone go out with that too. And how do I mean? Just cooking, eating rice in the morning and eba in the evening. I'm not talking of this does not include house rent, does not include medical bills, children's school fees. In my calculation, I only assume that maybe that worker is living under a bridge, so he has no business to pay for any house. And of course, they don't get sick. And of course, he doesn't have relatives to help. So in that wise, 195,000 naira, which I want everybody to contest. And for the past 1 week, I posted it. Nobody has contested it throughout the social media. And I said, look, you don't consult oracle. You don't consult pastor or imam to fix a minimum wage, a minimum living wage. You have to look at the cost of living. The president, when he said subsidy is gone, and he floated a very weak naira without any production base. Of course, market will be disrupted. And this we know. I put out a statement, second day after, he made that announcement, that look, the president has created a race between a horse.
All right.
That is.
Yeah, comrade, because of time, I just wanted to quickly get back to the question I asked regarding this new development, which is today, the relaxation of the strike. Comrade Kadri, are you there? Okay, so Comrade Kadri, Bashiru, this question is to you. What should we understand, or what do you understand by a relaxation of strike? Because Nigerians want to know, are they going to go back to work? Are they still staying at home? What is a relaxed strike? Sir, Comrade Bashir.
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank you for inviting me. I'm particularly grateful to God that the NLC finally gave Nigerians reason to say that we have an organization prepared to defend us at any time, any day. The defense of the Nigerian state and the rescue of our country is nothing, as far as I'm concerned, nothing can be more than that. Now, talking about relaxing of the strike, yes, labor is not insensitive to Nigeria. Labor is an organization that, remember, that knows that a country like Nigeria needs all that is required. Let me inform you here that by the ILO convention, we are told that dialogue is first, dialogue second, and dialogue third. Because we believe that no matter how much war is fought, there must be discussion across the table. If you recall, even the Israeli war,
Comrade Bashir, are you there? Okay. Yeah, Comrade, if you can hear me. So are you saying that, what is the difference between a relaxed strike and a suspended strike? Comrade Bashir. All right, Comrade Bashir, we have a bit of a difficulty with. Are you there, Comrade Bashir?
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Okay, we lost you for a second. Please, you can start all over.
Yeah, nobody would tell me that a laborer doesn't deserve his wages. Today, like few of the discussants I've just mentioned here, and they made a very clear picture of this position. The first is that you cannot be making policy without giving that policy a depth analysis and look at the implication, the consequence of that policy you are going to make on the people. That is one. Two, you cannot begin to talk about a society when the working class that drives the society are not considered as primary in terms of their survival and their future. And you know, as I know, that the workers stand the gap for Nigerian society. And if anything happens to them, the economy will crash. My take in all of this is that NLC have shown that they are not people who celebrate strike. They are people who make strike to send a warning that people can speak.
All right, so none of you is able to tell me, Comrade, and I was hoping you'd give me the answer, if workers are resuming work and what exactly labor means by this new move.
I will tell you this for free. When they say they step down and they suspend it, it means that workers will resume. But waiting for the next directive, the strike is not over, but it's suspended.
Because a labor leader told a colleague of mine that this is not a suspension, but only a relaxation. And I've been trying to figure out what that means.
No, I will tell you this, my brother. Whether it is relax or suspension, what we are saying is that you cannot put a gun on a man's head and actually with him. And that's why labor says, okay, we'll step down a bit, while we discuss with you. Because right now we know that the world begin to ask us questions. Why are you doing this when they say they are not discussing with you?
All right.
So the position of relaxation of this is to give a window for us to discuss so that nobody will say it's under pressure or under gunpoint to negotiate with us. The government is not under gun. We are not under gun. We are simply saying, okay, our own actions will relax while we wait for you to tell us to show that we can trust you and we have confidence. If there was trust, by the way, there will be no this strike action.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Comrade Bashir. Thank you, Comrade Bashir. I'll come back to you and to Mr. Shoriton later. Ivan Ofeli, having listened to what the comrade has said, regarding this so-called relaxation.
Yes.
Looking at the fact that Labour has gone back to the negotiating table from whence it left, that is the tripartite committee. I heard today meant to meet at the Nikon Luxury Hotel in Abuja in Wuse 2 at 10 a.m. Very nice hotel. Was this strike necessary?
Yes, it was necessary because at least it brought them to a point where they had to negotiate with seriousness. Before now, the federal government were never serious about this whole thing. You saw the way they were making mess of it. When they were to speak, they would be pointing at each other. You speak, no, you speak, you speak. Meaning that the federal government have no organized plan for labor before now, until they began to shut down all the workings of the country to a point where even you don't have power, you don't have fuel, you don't have anything. Now they are forced to come out and say, you know what, we will ensure that we negotiate in a way that will not go beyond whatever, 60. Like before, they were talking about something very meager. You understand? So the strike, for me, has made its impact. It's not how long you have a strike action, but how well and how effective.
What has the impact been?
The impact is that at least they have now said we will agree on what the minimum wage should be, but it's not going to be less than 60. And they have zeroed in on that.
But before the strike, was there not a possibility that they would have, if
No,
they had continued, they would go up, they would still top it up?
They were offering 40 or thereabouts.
No, but they had last arrived at 60,000. And organized private sector was budging. They wanted to remain at 57,000, but also later agreed to up from 57 to 60 after government made them at 57.
Yeah, but the government never agreed on 60.
No, they agreed on 60. They landed on 60, and Labour rejected it. Yeah.
And because what we have now is that they're going to take it above 60.
But
so what it means is that they have also
Labour have remained at the negotiating table under the tripartite committee, is there no possibility that they would have gone above 60,000 now?
Yeah, there is a possibility. But perhaps the strike, added to the pressure, that made them to now say, you know what, we will do more than 60. Mine is that I would have thought that Labour will conclude with them, and this, so that we don't go on and off strike, agree with them conclusively, before you relax or pull out or
That's
suspend.
What I was asking what the achievement was.
Yeah, the achievement was before.
Because you just said
before
that
the strike,
they would have concluded.
No, before the strike, the federal government didn't make any statement as to paying above 60 before the strike. You said they arrived at 60 before the strike, but after this time now, the strike, they said they will pay more than 60.
Okay,
so that's a step forward.
Right.
So I think the impact of the strike, is telling. I mean, we're also having another meeting as we speak and all that. So they will get to a point where they will push this forward. The truth is that the 30,000 naira is not sustainable. It's no longer, that has been eroded completely by.
Okay, let me go back to Shoriton. If you can hear me, Shoriton, what do you make of the agreement between the federal government and organized labor? The one signed, last night. Resolution 1 says the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is committed to a national minimum wage that is higher than 60,000 naira. And some Nigerians are asking, what is higher than 60,000 naira? Is it 60,100 naira, 60,200 naira, or maybe even 60,300 naira? So what do you make of it? And some people are saying that this is making a mockery of the whole situation. But what do you make of the agreement, reached last night?
the part of labor leaders. Because when you go to negotiation, you must go back to your constituencies before you sign anything. That's why I always salute ASU. ASU staff, the lecturer staff union. Because a strike, indefinite strike, is not just arbitrary. It's about your constituency union to have debated it at different level and agree. What they should have just done is not really to call out the strike. It's to go back to their constituency and ask government, don't leave us into gambling. They don't gamble with ASU. They don't. Because ASU is a more serious organization. You must tell us what you feel you want to pay. And we must return back to our constituencies so that they will debate it and give us another mandate to accept or not to accept. That's the problem of labor leaders over the years, particularly Ajero, that I personally thought would have done better. And that's the lack of ideological understanding of how to run a popular grass-based union and ideological understanding of what the role should be. All this listed, no. We are here for a minimum wage. We come with our own indices. If you are coming with your own indices, you must tell us so that we see the best you can pay or you think you can pay and revert back to our constituency. Because it's not Ajero and Co. that were before you. It's the whole entire workers of Nigeria. And I think that has been an error. You ask yourself, why has they not been able to capture ASU, bribe ASU leadership? Because ASU leadership is not, and does not pretend to have mandate on their own. Anything you do after a thorough negotiation, ASU will go back, university to university, constituency to constituency, and discuss it, and they vote. So that when they vote, they have mandate. And that is why it's not possible for government to destroy ASU and to be alleged of bribe, because those leaders over the years were acting on mandate of their constituency. And I think that's a big error on NLC. Big error. You don't go to election when we are talking of 100 plus, because you are not thinking like a drunk. You are thinking because you are done your statistics right. I personally have done one like 5,000 naira for just feeding twice a day in a month without housing, medicals, without children's school fees. So what Ajero leadership should have done, like what I think Papa Hassan Suman and Umugodu used to do, was to go back, give us 72 hours, we go back to our constituency. They may even say they want 40,000. They may even say they want 30,000. They may say they want 400 and something thousand that we budgeted. So that is how to plan, or else you are going to lose faces. And what you are they are just, yeah.
Okay, Mr. Soto.
Suspended.
Mr. Adeola Soto. Interesting. I want to put what you said to the unionist who is also in the House, Bashir Kadri. Kadri, what do you say to this? This on-off approach, like Adeola Soto has pointed out, may not help labor's cause. You call an indefinite strike only to relax that strike and go back to the negotiating table you were when you called off the strike. Why not have an indefinite strike and keep it on until government agrees with a figure, a number, and you went to sign an agreement without a definite number, just to say, oh,
back to that constituency.
Yeah, Kadri. Bashir Kadri, are you there? Okay, we seem to have lost Bashir Kadri. Ivan Sufeli, what?
Back.
Are you there, Kadri? Okay, all right. Evans, what do you say to what?
Yeah, that is why I said actually before now that I would have preferred that Labour had a conclusive, bargain, come up with a figure that the federal government should pay, other than saying the federal government have agreed to pay beyond 60. That is very indefinite. There is not a good way of negotiation, because above 60 could mean 61, 62. So it could mean anything. And for me, in that light, I don't think Labour, have pushed this strong enough. Okay? The relaxation of the strike notwithstanding, it does not show that they have actually pushed this forth.
Should they have maintained the strike while the negotiation is going on?
Of course, because what this have done is just to impel the federal government to say we'll pay beyond 60. And there's nothing else again. There's nothing attached to that. And they have signed to that effect. Now, when you sign to the effect that federal government will pay beyond 60, what it means is that anything they pay beyond 60,000,
you've lived up to the
you've
agreement.
signed already for it. No, that's what it means. You've signed that, because they said they will pay beyond 60 and you signed for it. So it means that you should have gone further to do this once and for all. Now, we are not going to sign until you tell us what you are paying that is above that 60. Otherwise, what you have is that you have gone to the negotiating table, you have agreed on what is not visible and certain, and you have signed up to what is not visible and certain. So that's what it means.
So did they leave the negotiating table with anything?
They didn't leave the negotiating table with anything tangible, because they have even signed off of whatever the federal government will conclude they will pay.
Above 60,000?
Above 60. And anything above 60, and shows that you signed for it. Could you come back to now say you want to unsign it?
What do you make of this statement? Labour, in deference to the highest team of the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria's commitment in 2 above, undertakes to convene a meeting of its organs immediately to consider the commitment. Some people feel that this is too much, going on talking about the highest team of the President and Commander-in-Chief. Is this something Nigerians should be, should focus on?
I don't think that is necessary. We're talking about strike action. We're talking about minimum wage not being enough for workers. We're saying the economic reality of things and inflation rate, which is about 33.2%, had gone, 33.2% had gone, in a way that is almost not manageable. Okay? So now the federal government have to brace up. Even if Labour weren't going on strike, the federal government ought to think about Labour, to think about their welfare, that these people can no longer, keep up with what they've had all this while. They should do something about it. And now that they strike, that should impel them the more, but not to commit them to signing uncertainty. Because now it does not look like we are going anywhere very plausible as it stands now.
All right, Evans, we'll come back, and of course, we'll talk to you and Deola Shota, who is joining us virtually, looking at other aspects of strike and what to expect going forward. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. Still with us on Politics HQ in the studio, Evans Ofeli, legal practitioner and a civil society advocate, and Deola Shota, who joins us virtually, and of course, still looking at Labour's relaxation, let's call it that, because some of them say it's not a suspension of the ongoing strike as they return to the negotiating table under the tripartite committee. Let's go to you, Adeola Shota. Looking at the suspension of the strike, as far as you're concerned, why has it taken the tripartite committee this long to even reach an agreement? They haven't reached this for now. The federal government that Labour met with, they're still in the tripartite committee. The National Assembly that Labour met with, they're still part of federal government who are in the tripartite committee. Labour met with the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Information Minister, Finance Minister, Labour Minister, and others who are in the tripartite committee. Now, they were sworn in or commissioned in January, on January 30. And from January 30 to up to yesterday, 4 months, they had 7 meetings. 7 meetings, Mr. Sheraton. Why has it taken them this long to arrive, at an agreement? Now we hear from yesterday's resolutions that they will meet every day till they can reach an agreement. Could they not have done that before now, sir?
It shows the attitude of bourgeois government anywhere, particularly in Africa and Nigeria, that don't consider labor, students, and other people as relevant. You ask yourself, is it not this Senate that even during the time of intense labor crisis, they were busy with returning old national anthem within, I think, 6 days, to become new national anthem. So you start wondering, do they really get their scale of preference or parity right? But of course, it shows the weakness of the opposition. Because in those years, it won't be like that, because even the civil society groups, students, were in order with the labor movement. But what do you have today? Many labor leaders have totally compromised. Student movement is almost gone. And of course, society groups, many of them are addicted to the mandate of their sponsors. So unlike the days we have CLO, CDHR, and others that were in the forefront as CSO, even CD, that will see this cause, labor fighting for living minimum wage, as their own cause. I will go their own to market, to places to sensitize. So when the temperature is too cool, despite the terrible economic situation, because of the weakness of labor forces, and of course, the general rank and file CSOs, then you start having all these, let them go to hell, let them go to places. Now that is what you can see about it. Why are they moving now? When they should have moved far, 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 far before, despite the hunger. I remember the protest started in Abeokuta by fisher women, fish selling women, market women, who are protesting that they cannot even eat the fish they are selling. And of course, the thing started like that. So labor was virtually forced into this kind of strike. All along, they should have started before now. In fact, when the president announced subsidies gone, that was the period they should have rejected and started this strike. So that before it escalated to the point that people cannot even eat fine. School fees have increased, rice, beans, mentioning costs have increased anyway. This evening, it cost me 4,500 naira to prepare soup. No, not even West, still what I didn't, to eat rice with my mother. Just two of us. Maybe it will finish by tomorrow afternoon or morning. This used to cost us around 2,000, 2,005. So labor should know that is their historical responsibility not to be reactive, but to be active. What they are doing now is to be reactive. That's why the Tinubu government is feeling cool. If you have somebody owing you and you are not doing anything about it, he will feel cool. And if you go to him and you say, well, he will start paying, and you ask him, he will say, well, I will start paying anything from 60,000. You know what that means? You
All
have
right.
not entered into any level.
Mr. Shetto, so you're saying that, Adela Shetto is saying labor needs to be proactive and not reactive. Ivan Sufeli, do we need to see a government evolve a system whereby there'll be a natural progression every 4 years based on the National Minimum Wage Act, a natural progression to a new minimum wage instead of what we're seeing right now? 30th
Yes.
January till now, only 7 meetings. no progress.
No progress, yeah. So I think government should be able to, government know the situation of things. They have an institution in this country that measure costs, price, and the poverty and the misery index in the country. They have the statistics, the MBS. Okay, they know that at some point they say 144 million of us are living in multidimensional poverty. So they know the situation. Now, a serious government will come up with policies and laws that will address those issues so that the citizens are not reduced to poor living or poor lifestyle, which will ultimately affect the national image because citizens will take on to crime and so many vices, and society will, it will give society a run of its life. So what you said is correct. The government should have a projection in the law for a review after some years. They should have that. That is why countries that progress plan ahead. Okay, they look
so some
at
sort
the
of
welfare of their
mechanism to
citizens.
create, to make sure that we didn't, because the minimum wage expired on April 19 or 18,
Yes,
April
yes,
18.
April 18.
And the committee was inaugurated on January 30. And within 4 months, they have not been able to arrive at some. What do you make of the fact that the tripartite committee embarked on zonal public hearings to hear from, different members of organized private sector and, labor across the 6 geopolitical zones as to what they expected the minimum wage to be? Has it been a total waste of time and resources? Because if you look at the fact that none of the suggestions will actually be used, isn't it a waste of time?
Well, no, the consultation was necessary. This is not one assignment you can undertake unilaterally. There was a need for that widespread consultation. The fact that Labour have not succeeded yet does not mean that should have been undermined. Okay, you should know, because Labour will have more problem if they never undertook that widespread consultation. Now they did that, they have to collate data, thought, and people's contribution. And that is why there are no dissenting voices all over. If they had done it unilaterally, there would be dissenting voices in some other quarters. People will come up and say, no, we're not even, carried along in this whole thing. If you say it's 490, we disagree. We want it to be, we would have thought it should be something far, far more than that or less than that. So that, consultation was necessary. And it's now up to the federal government to decide whether what they pay now is realistic or whether what they intend to pay, which they call above 60, is realistic.
What would that be?
Yeah, because...
What would that be? Anyway, let's go for a break. I don't know if that would be 61,000 or 63, because I started adding 3,000.
Whatever it is that I've been signed for.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll speak some more with Adeola Sheraton and Ivan Sofeli right here in the studio. Stay with us. Welcome back. We still have with us as we look at latest development regarding the strike called by Labour. Joining us virtually, Bashir Kadri and Adeola Sheraton. In the studio, we have Ivan Sofeli. Ms. Kadri, we lost you earlier. I do not know if it was because of the fact that Labour turned off the switch at the TCN center, whether it's in Niger State or Abuja, I can't remember. And all of us all over the nation, we've not had light all over Nigeria since 2:19 a.m. on Monday. But it's good to have you back. Should Labour have allowed Nigerians have access to critical services such as electricity, fuel, and healthcare?
Now, can I let you know this, that Labour is not a career organization. We're not cruel. Labour is simply humanists who believe that every human being deserves a better life. But you see, when you push a man to the wall, you ask him to react the way ordinarily you want to condemn him. Let me give you an example. How do you explain that for the last 4 months, we are on just one matter? Labour only just pulled just one of the triggers, and the whole country is in this space. And I am thinking very clearly that if Labour was not a humanist that consider other people's life, they wouldn't even stop this position until we have a pronouncement of a figure based on 100 or 200 or whatever it to be. But however, because of the humanist nature of the Labour organization, that believe that people must survive, that we don't want to put people in more serious problems. And that's why we say, let us listen to talk. So as far as I'm concerned, I think I will give it to Labour that they are humanistic. They have the human face.
Yeah, but Mr. Kadri, I was asking you if Labour should have left the critical sectors on, like it used to be in some years ago when there'll be a national strike, but we'll have light at home.
I heard you very well. Can I tell you this? But for this singular action, the federal government wouldn't have even spoken to Labour at all. I don't understand how. I mean, look at the history. You mentioned just now in your own analysis. How do you come to negotiation and tell somebody I will give you 3,000 naira addition? Next one, 2,000 naira addition, from 57 to 60,000, from 48 to 50 something thousand. I mean, that sounds like child's play. And I'm not sure anybody who is rightful thinking will want to believe that these people are serious-minded people. So what Labour had just done is why they're now saying, let us talk. If Labour didn't do this, they did. Nobody would have spoken to Labour. They will simply come to the meeting. Some will not come. Some will just stay away, and they will just come at their convenience. The governors will be talking their own grammar. And
but Kadri, is it possible that Labour could have said, we're going to allow Nigerians to have electricity at home so that they can, make sure they can stay at home comfortably, cook, bathe, clean, have some television to watch while at home, because Nigerians are not the one fixing the minimum wage, and then we'll stay at home from work, like it used to happen in the days of Adams Oshomole.
Are you aware? Let me inform you. Are you aware that this action of one day shook the federal government to its foundation? And this conscious, let us now talk, let us now do it, near 1 week, let's get result, is a function of this action. Don't forget that they could not fly. They could not fly. But
are you also aware that innocent, ordinary Nigerians who spent their hard-earned money to book tickets to go perform their religious obligation in Saudi Arabia, the Hajj, missed their flights, and the aircrafts had to go back to Saudi Arabia empty? Maybe Labour didn't think about the timing, didn't think, carefully and critically about the timing of this strike.
What you are saying now would have been the consciousness of the federal government to understand that they have a duty to protect the people of Nigeria and give them a better life. Which one is better? People are dying in number. They cannot eat 3 times a day. They can eat once a day. And then somebody is telling you stories and is giving you reasons to think that, oh, you see, they have been running back into this whole thing you are talking about.
Mr. Kadri, are you aware that Idul Kabir or Idul Adha is days away? And this Labour strike, if federal government did not invite, would have threatened to affect the religious festival of our Muslim brothers and sisters. That's why I'm asking, did Labour think critically about it?
Can I share with you? Let me share this.
Labour doesn't seem to be organized, Mr. Kadiri. It seems Labour has lost that critical thinking and analysis, scientific thinking.
You asked me a question. Hold on a minute. If Labour was not thinking, Labour would not even have stepped down today. It's just because Labour is a humanistic organization, that's why they stepped down today. Now, I asked you a question. Now, you are a worker, and your employer seems to don't care about your comfort and your welfare, and he finds a way of running into your emotion. What you are saying is an emotional running into, not reasoning. We are saying let us go to reason, not emotions. All you have been doing now is talking about the emotions. Oh, religious, this one, that one. We are doing all this one. These are things you are doing by emotions. What is the reason behind this action? That's the question. Is it for the benefit of the Nigerians? Religion's time can come and go. There are many more will come by the grace of God. But this particular time, let's take action. So the federal government will wake up and do the needful. All of us are in this country. We can't continue like this, my brother. We can't continue like this. We've been continuing like this every day, looking at emotions, sentiments.
So if Labour gets maybe 65,000 naira as minimum wage, would it have been worth it?
What?
If Labour gets the 65, 70,000 naira as minimum wage, not the 494, even 100,000 naira, will all of this have been worth the trouble?
Are you aware, sir, that whether you like it or not, we have our indices, we have our indicators that guide us on deciding what we are asking the government to do.
Right.
They are indicators. The cost of carry, the cost of transportation, the cost of housing, all these are part of indicators. We have them in our hands. So we will know what is reasonable.
Bashir Kadri, thank you very much. Time will tell if indeed the strike was worth the trouble. Let's see what agreement figure Labour and the federal government can arrive by. But what we know is that Labour signed that it would be above 60,000 naira. Like I asked, would it be 60,100, 200, or 300? Bashir Kadri, thank you. Adeola Shirto, thank you very much. And of course, Ivan Sufeli here in the studio. It's been a pleasure, gentlemen, having you on the program tonight. My name is Kofi Bartels. We return tomorrow with more on Politics HQ. Good night.